Howdy, everyone. I am excited to be here today with an author and an illustrator who just released a book called Extraordinary Women with Cameras. It is a book about women photographers aimed at children, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I'm excited to have both the author and the illustrator here because, you know, the material is fascinating, but the illustration is fantastic in here as well. And so I'll have some graphics that you'll see as we go through this interview, but I was excited to look through this book. Just a disclaimer, their PR guy sent me a copy of this book at no cost to review and to chat with them. Other than that, I'm not being compensated for this in any way. So I'm just excited to chat with Darcy and Vanessa, and I'm glad you're both here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So excited.
Yeah. Thank you. So I guess let's start off, I'll start with you, Darcy, and then, Vanessa, you can chime in as well. What are kind of your personal history with photography? I mean, what was your background in, the photo world or the experiences you've had with photography in your life that you brought to this project?
Well, I don't have a huge background in photography per se. I did take classes in college. I learned how to use a dark room. I learned how to, speed, aperture, all the buzzwords and everything. Right. Using, going through the different steps. And it was absolutely fascinating to me. And me and my editor, Kelly, actually collaborated on the concept of this book. We wanted to show younger kids, especially young girls, just the variety of careers you can have in photography. I mean, I tried to do the most diverse amount of careers in this book, and women like, fashion photographers, journalists, found photography, art, just all different kinds. And just to show people how many different careers you can have using this one piece of equipment, how versatile it can be. So,
yeah, and I think that's a great angle on it because, especially for a child, probably the main experience they've had with a photographer in their life, nowadays, I'm sure it's everybody walking around with smartphones that they're taking pictures, but if they have had an experience with a professional photographer, it's probably just been portraits, right? They may have had family portraits or school portraits or things like that. But, as you highlighted, there's journalism, there's editorial work, there's, fine art, there's street photography, there's all these different genres of photography that someone can get into. Interesting. How about you, Vanessa? What was your, obviously, so you're a very talented illustrator, so you understand, visual artwork and things like that. What background do you have with photography before this?
Let's see. I've always liked taking pictures for sure. I feel like I have a very bad memory, but if I take a picture of something, I definitely remember that day, that moment. So I rely on photography a lot, and doing this book was really inspiring too, just learning about all the photographers and seeing their artwork too was inspiring to me in other ways in my art too. So I feel like you can get a lot of inspiration just from photos. It doesn't have to be like other pieces of artwork. But I find that like a lot of times you can draw inspiration in photos for your art too. So
Great. Yeah, that's a good take on things. So I guess this is kind of a question for both of you. Who is this book for, right? Obviously, it's, when one looks at it, you can kind of get the feel. And as you read it, you see it, it's clearly a children's book. But, who is it that you're really hoping to reach with this?
Definitely any kid who's interested in, who just wants to learn more about, the history of photography, or who wants to potentially get a career going in photography. And even or to just be inspired artistically. Like one of the gals we talk about in here, I call them gals, I don't know why. One of the gals in the book, Vivian Mayer.
Oh, right.
Is that how I'm pronouncing it? So no one even knew she was a photographer until after she passed. They found thousands of her photographs in suitcases and everything. And I just thought that was fascinating. She just did it for her own pleasure. And, didn't chase fame, it was her only. And she just had such a wonderful eye and stuff. And so I really want this book to inspire kids to take photos, and not necessarily, it doesn't have to lead to a career or
Mm-hmm.
a huge thing. It can just be something fun you do to, like Vanessa said, to remember, to capture memories, and good times with friends, good times with, or nature and stuff. And just so whether that it inspires them to go into a career or just helps them have fun and become more artistic and save their memories. I just hope this book can inspire any kid, guy or girl. It doesn't have, it's women with cameras, but I want boys to want to pick this up as well. So just show them all the possibilities that a camera can do, career-wise or artistically. So that's what we're hoping to reach all kids. So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh no, I agree completely. I just feel like this book can spark some inspiration and just hopefully have kids wanting to be creative.
Yeah, that's good. So one interesting question that I wanted to ask is, so it's a book about women photographers, and yet there's no photos in the book, right? It's all illustrated. And Vanessa did a great job, but it's one of those things where as I got into it, I'm like, well, how many different types and ways to illustrate the camera is there going to be? And like, no, you did a great job of illustrating all the different types of cameras that these photographers would have used. And this maybe is more of a question, for your editor, but all that, but I'm sure you guys were involved with this discussion and figuring out the plan for this. With most children's books, most of them, a lot of them are illustrated, right? As opposed to having photos in them, where I think, as we grow up, we get books with less pictures in general, but they're probably more photos than illustrations. Was there any, thought or, discussion around having this be a book that was illustrated versus a book that just had photos of all these different women throughout it? I'm just kind of curious, what that may have looked like.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussions with my editor, and strictly due to copyright reasons, we did want to include some of the work that the women did so people could see examples of like, what does street photography look like? What does portrait look like? But due to copyright rules, we really couldn't. But Vanessa did an amazing job doing some recreations in the book of some of the more famous art pieces. It was just a wonderful way to add that in. I thought she did a fantastic job. And also at the end of the book, there's a QR code that takes you to examples of all these women's works. So if you want to see more and see actual examples, all you got to do is click on the QR code in the back and it'll take you to all that. We just couldn't include them for copyright reasons, but I think Vanessa did an amazing job, including a couple of the little ones and little examples and stuff in there. So, but you can definitely check out all the artwork at the end of the book if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that's good that you've got that resource. And there's also a list of some additional photographers that people can check out if they're interested in learning more. I mean, even though it is a children's book, and I've been in the photography world for a long time, I learned a few things through the book as I was kind of taking a look at it, right? Or even just kind of little facts about people that I'd been familiar with already.
That's wonderful.
But you were able to pull some interesting nuggets out. It feels very approachable. I think it has the right level of information, I think, for that younger audience kind of a thing. I think, actually, I think with this copy, I'm probably going to end up giving it to my niece, who is 5. So she probably isn't going to read it entirely on her own quite yet. But I'm sure my sister would love, reading some of it to her, and, a couple of years down the road, when she gets a little bit older, be able to explore more of it on her own. So.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I definitely want this book to grow with kids. It's not something they just read once, like a picture book, and throw it down. It's something they can keep on their shelf and pull out for inspiration, as they grow older and stuff. So, but yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
To touch on what you were saying, we were very mindful of the age range we're going for. So I'm sure some of the people have more mature themes in their work that definitely like some. So there were a couple ones where I kind of had to walk a fine line to just give the information but not be too sensational. It was a little just being mindful of the age range we're going for, because some of them do have a lot more mature work, like the war photographers, the more avant-garde ones, that do nudity and stuff. So that was just something that we had to keep in mind for thinking. So
yeah, that makes sense. So one of the things that I thought was interesting, and I think will be good to kind of help keep the, the reader or the child, interested and involved, is you added these your turn segments at the end of several of the descriptions, the chapters, or whatever we want to call them here. Talk a little bit about the idea of that. I mean, it challenges the reader to, hey, you just read about this thing, now maybe go do something related to that.
Oh yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point. So I definitely wanted to make this book as interactive as possible and be as inspiring as possible. So if people read, they finish the chapter, they go, like for Margaret Bork White, your turn is, next time there's an important event in your community, document it by taking pictures. What shots will you need to capture to help others understand what happened? And I thought that was just a really cool way to make it more interactive, and also to show them, like, hey, this camera is a tool you can use to, document this important thing, show people who couldn't be there what happened. Another one is take a photo of your family and for memories. I just wanted it to be a really hands-on way that they could see firsthand how much you can get out of using a camera, how much it can help you, document important events, your life artistically. So that was a really cool part. I think it might have been my editor who suggested we do that. But once she suggested that, we were off to the races. And I think it really helps the book become, just more of an inspiring, tool to use to get into the world of photography. So I thought, thank you for bringing that up. I totally forgot.
That interactivity is nice, because it's not just, you don't want it to be a textbook, right? You don't want it to just be like a reference material where I could go read about somebody.
Throw it away.
Right. But instead, I can read about it and then, get challenged with some little activity to do or something like that, that's on a level that's approachable for the audience too, right? I mean,
yes.
So that's good. So I'm just curious, how did the two of you end up getting connected to work on this project?
My editor actually just found Vanessa, and then she introduced the two of us. Yeah, it's my editor, Kelly, who actually reached out to you, Vanessa. We actually don't know each other in real life, but it was all thanks to Kelly for finding such an amazing artist that just fit the tone of the book perfectly and fit what we were going for. Like when we would send her inspirational like pictures and stuff we were thinking of, but we both could not be happier with how it turned out. And I really need to thank Kelly for finding such an amazing artist to go with the vision of this book. So thank you, Vanessa. You're amazing.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear that. And it's so nice to meet you too in person.
I
know.
So is this the first time you've been on a call like together?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing us together. I really appreciate it.
Right.
It's such a treat to be able to see you, hear you.
Good deal. Well, hey, yeah. It's someday maybe you'll even meet actually in real life. I don't know.
I know. Yeah, it's only been through email and sending documents back and forth and everything. So this is a real treat.
Right. So good deal. So I'm curious for each one of you, maybe we'll start with you, Vanessa, and then go to Darcy. What was the kind of the most interesting thing that you learned throughout this project and working on this?
Well, I feel like working on something like this, it's making children's books is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So I was really excited and just really blessed to get this opportunity. I know it's Rocky Nook's first children's book too, I believe. So it was really exciting to be able to do that for them too. So I just feel like I learned a lot about myself and how I work and like managing a whole project. So that was really an interesting and fun experience. But I also feel like I was able to learn a lot about these women that I didn't know anything about. That was really exciting too. So I just feel like their photography helped me to stay inspired throughout the whole project too. And it fueled me to make those deadlines and everything. So it was really fun.
Good deal. Yeah. Sounds like it was a great experience for you. I'm glad, I know, having been through a book project myself and all that, I know there are points where you can get to a slog, or you can kind of hit some battles, but I'm glad it was all able to come together, and that it sounds like you had a mostly positive experience with that. So good to know. How about you, Darcy? What did you learn from this process, or what was the most interesting thing you came across as you were putting it all together?
Well, to echo what Vanessa said, this is my first children's book as well.
Okay.
So it was a huge learning experience. My other books I've done for other companies have a slightly more adult tone. I mean, some of them I've done stuff for DC and Marvel for different like comic book characters.
Okay.
It's mainly like pulling quotes and putting together a coherent story. But this was the first one that was geared towards children to pick up and read. And so I just learned so much about the writing process geared towards more younger audiences and tailoring facts and stuff to keep it, kid friendly. And I had a fantastic editor and, a fantastic illustrator. Our collaboration was great. And I'm really hoping that this turns into a series for Rocky Nook. I would love to collaborate on another kids book for them. It's been such an amazing positive experience for me. And like Vanessa said, I learned so much about these women as well. I had a passing knowledge of most of them, but some of them, I learned so much researching this. I mean, it was fascinating. It didn't feel like work at all. It was just, and if you look at the end, like you mentioned before, we have a whole list for further reading of women I couldn't even include. I mean, we could totally do a sequel book.
Right.
Because there's just so many amazing women photographers out there. So I just learned so much, just for my own education about that. So that was the best part, I think. So, yeah.
It's good that it was able to be fulfilling for you as well, just as a person and not just as an author, right? It wasn't just research, but you actually enjoyed it as well. And that's, and I think that kind of comes through in the material, right? It's, it makes it approachable. And, I think if you've got that, better experience going into it, the end result that comes out is going to be better. So, yeah, I mean, and I think the timing is great. Obviously, this video will be up for a while, but, as we record this, it's October of 2022. We're coming into the holiday season. I know one of the challenges that I always have as a photographer online who, writes and makes videos and things like that for other photographers is we always get into the holiday season. And there's always this flurry of, what would be good gifts for photographers or things like that, or photo-centric gift lists and guides and all that. And I feel like it always ends up in like the same cliches. You end up with, a lens-shaped coffee mug and, things like that. And I'm excited that this is something that this year, I think this book would make, obviously it's a fantastic gift for photographers, but I also think it's something that photographers are going to be able to give to, children, relatives, people like that in their family to kind of, it's a themed gift, right? You've got, your uncle or your cousin or whoever who's a photographer, and they give you a photo book for Christmas. And so I think this is well-timed, and that hopefully it'll work out well for you. But I also think it'll be good in that it's something a little different for photographers to talk about this year. So that'll be nice.
That's exactly my thinking as well. Thank you for saying that. But yeah, I just think it would be such a great book to be like, oh, like Uncle so-and-so is a photographer. This is the kind of stuff he does. This is the kind of career you can have, in photography. And just to explain to kids more what that looks like, having a career in that field.
Exactly. Good deal. And obviously I'll drop links down below on the YouTube video so people can go purchase the book if they want to get it for themselves or to give as a gift. Other than that, if people are, interested, I know you said this is in both of yours kind of first foray into children's books, but, if they want to find you, follow you, connect with you online, what's the best place for people to do that for each of you?
Do you want to go first, Vanessa? Sorry.
All right. Sure. Yeah.
So I have my website is vanessaperezart.com.
Okay.
And I'm also on Instagram. It's just Nessie Creates. So those are probably the best ways.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. I did actually, I found your Instagram here earlier today and was looking at that. And yeah, if people like the artwork they saw in this book, they should definitely go check out the work that you have on Instagram, because you've got some fantastic stuff there. So
Thank you.
how about you, Darcy? If people are curious, what else you've done, where should we point them to?
I have a LinkedIn page, and I'm also in the middle of editing my first actual website.
Okay.
That's where it's going to have links to all my books, links to my social media and stuff. And it's here. Let me just make sure I'm saying it correctly. My publicist actually just helped me get it together. So
okay, perfect.
It's author Darcy Reed at WordPress.com.
Okay.
So, and I'm still tinkering with it right now, but it's going to be launched, later this week, and it'll have all my reviews, all my books there, a little bio about me and stuff. But I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram as well.
Perfect. Sounds good. Yeah, I always want to make sure people know where they can find out more if something resonated or they want to get in contact with you. That's always good to make those connections. So yeah, well, hey, thank you again, both of you, for being here. Extraordinary Women with Cameras, a fantastic children's book, interesting material put together by Darcy, some fantastic illustrations, from the camera is not showing it here with the white, kind of overexposing it. Darn, if only I knew about photography, right? But that one shows up a little bit better. There we go. And as I said, I'll drop links down below for people who want to go check out that book and buy a copy for themselves or as a gift. Thank you again to both of you for being here today. It's been fun chatting. And like I said, I enjoyed the book, and I hope a lot of other people get the chance to enjoy it as well.
Thank you so much for having us. This was great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you both. So yeah, if this was interesting, if this is your first time on my YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe down below. I try to publish at least once a week with something for modern photographers. And until next time, take care.